A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, Season 1, Episode 1. Let's get into it. Here is your spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode yet. And I'm going to just stick to what happens in this first episode. We meet Sir Duncan the Tall. Is he really a sir? We're not sure, but he's just buried his mentor, Sir Arlen of Pennytree. Dunk is all alone in the world. The fact he took a couple of moments to just say a few words, show his respects, not everybody would bother to do that. So Dunk's in a quandary. He's like, what do I do now? He's not part of a noble house. He doesn't have any money. How is he going to survive? And he has an idea. There's a tourney at Ashford Meadow. If he goes there and competes, he could win. It's a long shot, but Dunk really doesn't have any better options. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk here. On his way down to Ashford Meadow, which is in the Reach, Dunk stops off at this inn and he hands over the horses to this young lad. The inn is pretty empty. Most people are down at the tourney, but the landlady, she drops some words of wisdom. She doesn't get what the fuss is all about. Knights are built the same as other men, and I never knew a joust to change the price of eggs. The only other person in the room is this guy who's drunk, passed out in the corner. But he wakes up and he says to Sir Duncan the Tall, I dreamed of you. And he's like, stay the fuck away from me. And Dunk is like, what? What are you on about? The man paid with this coin, which is something to remember for down the line. Dunk goes to retrieve his horses and he catches the young lad from earlier. And this kid begs Dunk, let me squire for you at the tourney. Dunk says, no, you don't want to squire for the likes of me. So Dunk goes off on his own and he arrives at Ashford Meadow. He goes to speak to Plumber, who's in charge of the tourney. And he says, you've got to be a knight to enter. Dunk says, I am a knight. And Plumber is like, well, can you prove it? He has to have somebody vouch for him. Plumber tries to give Dunk some advice and he winds up kind of joking with him and saying, you know, we can't have anybody just turning up and claiming to be a knight. Otherwise you'll get the Ashford chair. Dunk is shitting himself like, I don't want the Ashford chair. And he's like, I'm messing with you. He tries to seek out Manfred Dondarrion because Sir Arlen had served with House Dondarrion way back when. From the get-go, Dunk feels very out of place here. He's walking through this festival ground, really, and there's all these fabulous tents, all these sigils everywhere. Dunk stumbles across the Fossaways, and we've got two Fossaways that you're gonna love. The poor lad on the ground is Sir Raymond Fossaway, and this guy right here is his cousin, Sir Stefan Fossaway, and he's not very nice. The thing I loved about Dunk's encounter with Sir Stefan is a knight of the realm, but the question is he acting the way that a knight should? Turns out Manfred Dondarrion is a bit of a freak in the sheets. Yeah, this was my face. As evening falls, everyone's being entertained by this puppet show. And Dunk is quite taken with the puppeteer. Dunk bumps into Sir Raymond Fossaway, who's like, I'm really sorry for my cousin. And he invites him into this pavilion, which belongs to House Baratheon. Holding court is Sir Lionel of House Baratheon, played by Daniel Ings. I'm going to do a whole video on how bloody brilliant he was in this first episode. Again, Dunk feels out of place and he's beckoned over and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? Eating our stuff, drinking our wine. Lionel gets a kick out of winding Dunk up and then he's like, I'm just messing with you. And before you know it, we've got a Baratheon party in full swing. Lionel challenges Dunk, but Dunk, he doesn't back down. And the party continues. If there's ever a house throwing a party in Westeros and you want to go, it's House Baratheon. When the party's dying down, you've got Lionel and Dunk wearing Lionel's helm. And they're having that classic 4 a.m. at the kitchen table at someone's after party conversation. And the contrast between Lionel's life and Dunk's couldn't be more evident. For Lionel, he's come to this tourney just to have a bit of fun. There's no real stake in it for him. It's not going to cost him much. Whereas for Dunk, it's everything. I love the part where Lionel gets up and he bangs his antler helm on the chandelier and he apologises. Sorry. You can't not love the laughing storm. Now Dunk does find Sir Manfred Dondarrion, but he doesn't want to know. Dunk is like, how could you forget? Like, Sir Arlen, he took a wound fighting for your house and you don't even care? He's like, plenty of people have fought for my house. Again, what does it mean to be a knight? Because this is not very knightly. Dunk is like, what am I going to do? If no one's going to vouch for me, I can't enter the tourney. And if I can't enter the tourney, how am I going to make any money? How am I going to survive? What am I going to do? How am I going to come to the attention of a noble house so I can serve them? Dunk needs a lucky break and he's not getting it. So Dunk returns to his campground, which is basically a tree, and he finds that young lad from earlier. He's like, where'd you come from? How'd you get here? And the kid has not only started a fire, he's cooking the fish, he's tending to the horses, he's doing everything to prove he could be a good squire. The kid obviously does not miss the opportunity to wind up Dunk, saying, I was going to put up your pavilion, but I couldn't find it. When Dunk says to the kid, look, I'll take you back home. And he's like, you'll have to go to King's Landing to do that and you'll miss the tourney. And Dunk is like, look, I don't have a lot to offer you. My prospects are not great. But if you behave yourself, okay, you can help me in this tourney and then afterwards we'll see. So Dunk begrudgingly lets the kids stay. Dunk and the little kid whose name is Egg, they're lying there under the stars and they see a shooting star. This is very important. Seeing a shooting star is meant to be good luck, but all the other knights that are going to compete in this tourney, when they're looking up, they're not seeing the stars. They're looking up at the top of their tents. It's only Dunk and Egg who get to see the shooting star. And Dunk says, so the luck is ours alone? And that's how the episode ends. I'm going to do a full-length recap of this episode and go into it in a bit more detail, but I'm going to give it like 9.5 out of 10. It was literally the story from the book come to life.